Going live. Hello and welcome to TL News Night for October 19th, 2015. This is a special TL News Night because we are actually putting the ending piece onto a great day of Teacher Librarian Learning Conference, and Shannon Miller, Shannon, like everybody knows who Shannon is. Shannon Miller is going to tell you about this great conference specifically for teacher librarians that has been going on, I think, since 4 o'clock Eastern time this afternoon. Is that correct, Shannon?
Yeah, it's been going on all afternoon, and it started at 4, and we're ending with this great event, which is new this year for the TL Day. But it's really awesome because our good friend Steve Hartigan is gracious enough every year to bring us Teacher Librarian Day. And so we have had just wonderful conversations all day long. Ross Todd kicked it off, and then Naomi Bates, and our very own Craig Seashells was part of a panel discussion when they were speaking about social justice in the library. My good friends Michelle Lula and Joyce Valenza and we spoke about building a reading culture. And then our friend Karen from Australia, I cannot wait to listen to all of her conversation because she just spoke about teacher librarians driving school culture as thought leaders. And so that's what they're talking about right now, actually, still kind of in the room, and Joyce is wrapping it up just to talk about the day and talk about things that are happening next in the teacher librarian world. And this will all be archived, and we'll share the link too right now so you can check it out later. But it's a really awesome day, and it's great because you can watch it at your own leisure, just like this, if you don't make it. And so Joyce will join us in a few minutes, and we're super excited that we're ending the day with TL News Night. And so thank you, everyone, for working that in, and so excited to hear the story from South Carolina now. I think it's just the perfect way to end such a special day.
And so, Shannon, I think you're going to send that link out on Twitter right now. Is that correct? Yeah. Or if people missed that or didn't know that this conference was happening, where they can watch the different sessions of the conference that have been recorded throughout the day today?
Yes, I'm going to share it right now.
Okay, so while Shannon's sharing that, why don't we go ahead, for those of you who maybe this is your first time joining us, tell you a little bit about TL News Night and what TL News Night is about. Craig, did you want to go through this, or do you want me to go through?
Go ahead.
The slides? Okay. So hopefully you can see this. And so what we're doing right now, and we're going to bring this up, for those of you who aren't familiar, we're using Google Hangouts tonight. It's a great way to bring together a group of educators. You can have up to 10 people, but what Shannon Miller was talking about is the Teacher Librarian Day that's been going on today since 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and she just tweeted out that link. But we're going to go back, and for those of you who aren't familiar with TL News Night, just do a little brief synopsis of what TL News Night is and what we can bring to you the third Monday of each month. We're excited because this month we are actually bringing you South Carolina Association of School Librarians, and I was telling them earlier, everywhere I go, I see South Carolina librarians represented, whether it's online or at conferences all over the country. I always see people from South Carolina, tweets from South Carolina. There's always input, and so we are super excited that they are here tonight. Now, if you have any questions during the show tonight, or you have comments that you want to add to the show, please make sure to share those on Twitter using the hashtag TLChat. And this is also a way that you can communicate 24/7 with other school librarians all across the nation and across the world in order to not feel so alone in your library and to get great ideas that you can bring back to your students. So that hashtag tonight is hashtag TLChat. And it can be used 24/7, but tonight especially during this hour, use it for comments or questions during the show. Why are we bringing this show to you? We already have some great shows that come to you every Monday. The first Monday of every month is the TL Virtual Cafe with a free webinar every single first Monday. Second Monday is our Twitter chat, TL chat. And so we thought a nice live news show where we get to bring state library associations on and talk about relevant library information that you might need to know, and bring the information to you instead of you having to search and dig for that information, because we do know how busy you are in your library, so we bring that information to you. And why is it important that we do this? Because if we don't tell our stories, then somebody else is going to tell our story. And we need to tell the story that the world needs to hear about the amazing things that we're doing for schools and for students and for our teachers. And if we don't tell that story, no one will know. So do you want to be a contributor to TL Newsnight? Here's a real simple, easy way. Just go to the TL Newsnight wiki, or you can go to that link and we can tweet that out tonight. Real easy little snap view link. And you can fill out the information and join our show as well. Bring your state association on and join the superstars of TL Newsnight. We've got to update that map because we've got more superstars on here now. I want our entire map filled within the next couple of years to where every state has been on. And so now we're going to go back in to the show and take this off. And let's see. A little bit different lineup. Those of you who are long-term watchers of the show, this is our third season. And we had, I think, just Jane, myself, and Shannon are the, the original anchors on right now, because some other anchors have had different conflicts with their schedules. And so I'm going to let Craig introduce himself, and then we'll let Jonathan introduce himself, as they are our substitute anchors. So if you're not ready to jump in and do something like this, but you just want to be a substitute and maybe try it, dip your toes in it, you can do like Craig and Jonathan and volunteer to be a substitute when we need a substitute. So Craig, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Well, there may be a substitute shortage in our schools, but not for TL Chat.
Right.
It's fun. I'd love to get bumped up to designated hitter if I could, but out here in Washington State, we just had a conference. I'm trying to show you a hot and happy logo there, the evolution of mankind to the point of librarianship, and I'm happy to have hosted a number of folks who made it out for the School Library Journal Summit, and that was fun. And we just had our WLMA conference this last weekend, so I'm just about conferenced up for a few weeks and delighted to be here tonight.
Craig, we're so happy you're here because, oh boy, we know how conferences would just blow your mind, and the fact that you were willing to jump in and fill in is so wonderful. Thank you.
And I'm Jonathan Warner. I am the president-elect of the ISTE Librarians Network and filling in tonight for Sherry Gick, who is the current president. I am a library and instructional technology specialist in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, just outside of Portland, where, as I said earlier, it is currently 27 degrees. So for those of you in the south, come visit if you're cold or hot. We also just had our big state ISTE-affiliated conference called ACTM last week, and I got to present with Andy Wallace, who is another teacher librarian here, about our transformations from libraries to Learning Commons, which was really neat in the Year of the Learning Commons as designated by David Lorcher. And then I'll be talking next week to MassQ's conference about the same thing, as well as Rethinking Professional Development. That's their ISTE conference Wednesday and Thursday at Gillette Stadium. What? I'm talking at Gillette Stadium. I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I'll let you know how that goes.
Oh my goodness. That's great. So you're already doing your president-elect things even right here with TL Newsnight. Sherry's got a good person to follow in her footsteps.
Thank you. So I'll be back at the end of the hour.
Awesome. Sounds great. And then I'm just going to let Jane go ahead and introduce herself. If you've been watching, you know Jane, but I'll go ahead and let Jane introduce herself as well.
Hi, I'm Jane Lofton. I'm the teacher librarian at Mira Costa High School, which is in Southern California in Manhattan Beach. And sorry, Jonathan, it's been in the 70s. We've been thrilled that it's been in the 70s today, and we're looking forward to another streak of the 80s. And some of us don't have air conditioning, and we find that difficult to deal with. Sorry about that. Anyway, I love being working at my high school. I'm also very active in California School Library Association. I'm a past president and busily helping with planning our next conference, which will be in February in San Diego. And I'm also on the AASL Best Websites Committee. And love the opportunity to be on this show and sharing with everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Jane. I've really enjoyed getting to know you this year, especially with the Somewhat Virtual Book Club. So if you're not familiar with the Somewhat Virtual Book Club, get in touch with Jane and she can let you know all about that. Shannon, what do you think? Should we just go ahead and start?
I think so. I think we should kick it off.
Okay, I'm really excited about this tonight because our representatives from South Carolina Association of School Librarians are here tonight, and they have some amazing information to share with you, not only about conferences, but you know about the flooding that has happened there recently, and they're going to talk to you about how their association has jumped in and helped librarians across the state. And so, you know what, I'm going to let them take over and introduce themselves. Do we want to start with Karen or Jennifer or Cindy?
How about Jennifer?
All right, so we'll start with Jennifer, and then Jennifer, you kick it over to who you want to talk next to introduce everyone.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on. I'm Jennifer Tazarati, the president of the South Carolina Association of School Librarians. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I wish I was in California, but I enjoyed it while I was there. We have had lots of rain. It is about, what's the temperature here? Probably in the 40s or 50s. It was really cold last night, almost a freeze warning. So we have nice cold mornings. But it was about 60 for a high today, so it was really nice. And we're glad it's not raining anymore because it was raining for almost a week straight in where I live in Union and in Columbia. And right now, everybody is still pretty much cleaning up, and I think they just reopened the roads. Cindy and Dr. Gavigan can speak to that more than I because they are right there in Columbia, and I am about an hour and a half away. But Skazzle has reached out from Facebook and on our listserv and email and through our regional network trying to find out who needs help. And right now we have about 5 schools. We have Mackin, Sebco Books, and the South Carolina State Library. We're all pitching in to find out what the needs are and what we can do to help and how badly things are damaged. And then there's also the issue of how do you determine what is damaged and what isn't, and just because it's not wet or just because it's wet, how do you know if it's water damage, just humidity damage, mold? So this is going to be a long process. It's going to last a long time, and I'm sure we'll be dealing with this into the summer. But we've started a fund, and we're raising some money for our South Carolina school librarians. And we're also planning on, since we're getting lots of donations from all over the country, the state library is getting authors who are donating, and publishers are donating books and money. So they have not as much public library damage as they anticipated, and they have extra books for us, so we'll be distributing those not just to school libraries but to schools, and then we'll go into families because we want books in our libraries, in our classrooms, and in our students' homes because that's just the way it ought to be.
I love that, Jennifer, that not only did they think about the public and school libraries, but about that home and the importance of having reading materials inside the homes.
Yeah, we're working on it. It's going to be a long process, though.
Is there a link that we can share on the wiki tonight or out on Twitter so that if anyone's watching anywhere in the world, really, and want to contribute and send their help your way, how they can do that? Do we have a link for them?
Yes, it is on our Skazzle.net page, and there is a link there on the bottom left-hand side that says flood relief donation.
Awesome. We'll make sure to get that out on Twitter and also put it onto the wiki.
Yes, scasl.net.
Did we have a slide to go along with this?
Yes, we do.
Right. So I'm going to go out to the slide so that we can reference to that and make sure that people can kind of see what we're talking about with that damage.
It just shows the amount of rain in the state and where it was concentrated.
Oops.
But Dr. Gavigan and Cindy Simons, if you guys want to bring up anything that I've missed or say anything about the flooding.
No, I was just going to add, unfortunately, Kathy Jo Nelson, who a lot of you know, can't be here tonight because she had a family emergency. So she sends her regards. But this slide is one that Kathy Jo created. Columbia, I'm from the University of South Carolina and the School of Library and Information Science. And actually, our campus was closed for an entire week. And we've had a lot of water issues and things like that, but we're back now, and our fall break starts this week, and the roads are better here, and Cindy can speak to that. So we're drying out, but we've been sort of overwhelmed, as Jennifer mentioned, with all the good wishes and books coming in, and vendors who are and authors who are helping. So thank you to all of us who have been thinking of us during this difficult time. So. And Cindy, you may add what you want to about your schools in the Columbia area.
And Karen, real quick, do you know about approximately how many schools were affected by the flooding that are now looking to rebuild their collections or are going to have to kind of sift through and see what's left that they can salvage?
I think, was it 5, Jennifer?
Yeah.
I think 5 from around the state. So
Jennifer, does the 5 include Timmerman School as well?
No, that's 6.
Okay. So there is a private school in downtown Columbia that was entirely flooded up to its roof line, and that school is a complete loss, and they're currently housed at a local church. They were in one of the hardest hit areas in Columbia, which encompasses Richland 1, but as I said, they are a private school, so that makes 6 schools that we're aware of that had semi-catastrophic losses.
My goodness, all the way up to the roof line?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I can speak for South Carolinians in the Columbia area that we feel very fortunate that everyone has pulled together, and South Carolina Strong has been our tagline and our hashtag this week, and finally the schools are getting back into working order. Richland 1 and Richland 2 are back to school and on just a 1-hour delay this week. So we were out for an entire week as was Richland 1, and Richland 2 wasn't as hard hit as Richland 1 was.
Well, I'm glad that it wasn't any worse than that, but definitely we need to focus on those 6 schools and see what we can do, and we'll do that through the link there. Were we going to go back over to Jennifer or to Karen?
Karen.
All right.
To me? Okay.
Kick it back to you, Karen.
All righty. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the SCASL impact study that the SCASL board commissioned in 2014 with Keith Curry Lance. The full report is online on the SCASL website, and I believe there's an infographic if y'all can pull that slide up. Just suffice it to say that this study, like other Lance studies, showed that schools with stronger libraries tend to have better test results. What we're excited about in South Carolina is that this is one of the first studies to tie directly to test scores. So it was related to the Palmetto Assessment of State Standards and the High School Assessment Program, the reading and writing and English language arts scores. So that was a big plus for us, and Keith Curry Lance was very excited about that too. We had close to 800 people who turned in their their data at the end of the school year, librarians. So we were able to use that data to correlate to the score. So you can see on the infographic, I'm not going to go into a little detail, this isn't a presentation, but we're happy to answer any questions. One other outlier that Keith brought up that was really interesting is that the study revealed that librarians either don't understand that they have a big impact on writing, or maybe they're not having as great an impact on the teaching of the standards as they themselves thought. In other words, they don't have great writing efficacy about the difference they make, whereas the principals and the teachers who were interviewed in this study, it was a two-phase study, and we interviewed a lot of administrators and teachers, felt that the librarians did have an impact on writing. So we thought that was really interesting, and we're doing some things with that, hoping doing sessions at the conference about it, and a doctoral student, April Dawkins, here at the university is going to write an article about that. So that's another thing that came out of the study. But we hope you'll visit the link and learn more about it. What we're excited about, too, just real briefly, is the positive outcomes that came from the study. For example, the Department of Ed is now putting school library data for the first time ever on the DOE, the state report cards. So the school system, the schools that report the data, it's now out there for stakeholders to see, which we think will influence funding. So we're real happy about that. Also, the Department of Ed reached out to SCASL and USC, and we're doing six regional workshops around the state. So lots of exciting things going on that came about as a result of the publicity and the impact of the study. And we also ended up writing letters to, the SCASL did, administrators and principals with the findings, and we had a big press release, so that was really exciting too. If you're going to be at AASL, stop by the teacher librarian booth. It sounds kind of sexy to say this. We're the centerfold for teacher librarian, and the infographic that you saw on the screen is the centerfold, and the article in there about the study, and they'll be giving out free copies. So in Columbus, go by the teacher librarian booth, and we're also looking forward to a future article in School Library Journal where you can learn about it.
Karen, that's so funny. I told you I saw South Carolina everywhere, didn't I? No, in the centerfold. But I really love that infographic because it does make it easy for people to see all that important information. Because, you know, data, let's face it, data is not that sexy. Yeah. But when you put it together like that in a great graphic organizer that way, or infographic, it makes it easy to understand and decode and see. And I like that you had in there, too, about assistance.
Yes.
Being in there. Mm-hmm. Because in Alabama, I think 2 or 3 years ago, we lost all funding for any assistance. And we just, you know, most of our librarians are just trying to hold it together all by themselves. And we really do need that help in there. So I definitely think other school districts, other state associations need to look at what South Carolina has done, because what you really did is you told your story.
Yes, yeah.
And we've got to get out there and tell our story and tell why we're important to students.
Exactly. We've been real pleased with the feedback we've gotten and the input it's had across the state. So,
love it. Leading the way. I'm sure other states are going to contact you guys and say, okay, now we heard about what you did. Share some of your tidbits of wisdom. So that's what we're going to do here tonight as well, but I'm sure that they can also contact you if they have questions later on how they can follow it.
Absolutely. And Keith's great to work with, by the way.
He is. I just wanted to jump in there because I think that you're telling the story about how you wrote letters to principals and superintendents. That dissemination is the next key step, because like any resource, if we just sit on it in our associations and don't get the word out. So we, here in Washington, with a similar impact study we did, the key is, okay, now how do we get it to administrators? How do we get it to school boards? to PTAs, and then to legislators when they come back into session. So
Uh-huh.
I really look forward to comparing notes there, and I'll look for you at the centerfold.
Thanks, Craig.
You bet.
And you know, part of the dissemination too is also partnerships, and we have a great partnership with our State Department of Education, and now we find ourselves in an important document, the South Carolina Read to Succeed Act, in which we weren't before, and as a result of the study and our publicity, we're now included, school librarians are now included in that documentation, in that Read to Succeed Act. So it's helped us a lot.
Isn't that weird that they wouldn't even think to have librarians in Read to Succeed? How strange is that? That's insane. Jane saw a tweet that she wanted to bring up real quick that came through.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a tweet I saw from Elizabeth Hester. Thanks, Elizabeth. She said, hopefully all the schools in South Carolina area know about the AASL's Beyond Words grant. You know, I believe that's for schools suffering disasters. So anyone listening from South Carolina, you want to check on that, and of course any other areas that are dealing with issues from disasters.
Great.
And I like the way that Mackin and some others have stepped up to the plate already to help with this. Mackin's always wanted to step up to the plate. I think, Shannon, they're your peeps, aren't they?
They're my peeps. Yeah. That's actually why I was sitting here, just sent an email to all of the other publisher friends we had.
Nice. So we'll definitely get some help coming your way. So now I know we have some other slides here. You have some other information for us to share as well. Who did we want to go to next? Karen and Jennifer and Cindy?
Jennifer.
Jennifer. Okay, Jennifer. You're on the hot spot now.
Me again. I just realized that I lost my earring, and I'm thinking, okay, it's got to be because I was taking my headphones off and putting them back on, so it's going to be around here somewhere. But the other thing I think we wanted to talk about was our Charleston bib, and unfortunately, we've had a pretty tough past 6 months here in South Carolina, and the church shooting also hit us pretty strong. So Carolina strong, we're going to get through the floods and the shooting and all kinds of things happened as a result of the shooting, and we're right now working on creating a bibliography, and you can contribute to that, and we would love for you to contribute. It's a crowdsourced bibliography consisting of resources that you would consider using for students, for children, because when we read and when we share information, we need to start this when our kids are young. The more they read about people from different places, the more their viewpoint and empathy and understanding will expand, and I believe the better person or people will be bringing forth. And Karen can also share it with us. We were a part of how this maybe all started. We're actually going to present at SCLA, our South Carolina Library Association conference, Wednesday.
Yeah, and the way this started was kind of interesting. Is an author of an article on SLJ's website got in touch with Jennifer, and she got in touch with me to ask us to contribute some ideas for a big bibliography that was more for higher ed, but they wanted some editions of children's titles. So we sent them a few, but then we realized it was not a major part of what they were doing. So we talked about it and decided we wanted to do one that was just K-12, but we wanted everyone to get involved with it, and Jennifer came up with the crowdsource idea. There is a slide, and Jennifer can tell you that about Charleston Strong. So we're presenting this at the North Carolina School Library and Media Association and the Virginia Association of School Librarians as well, and we're hoping to present at a future AASL. But Jennifer can tell you about the logo, which her art teacher did, which I think is amazing.
They came up with a little, maybe a few days after the church shooting, the palmetto tree with the 9 birds, which was just a heartbreaking icon, and we took that and put a palmetto tree with books for a trunk and 9 books instead of birds. And a lot of people wanted to donate, they wanted to do something for the people in Charleston. What can we do? How can we help? And so we thought, well, here's how you can help. You can tell us what can we read? How can we provide our teachers, our school librarians with a list of books that they can go to and say, all right, let's have maybe a display. Do you have a question? Why did this happen? Something like that. Now we have resources that we can go to, and we want to make it a living document and have it evolve and be added to all the time.
Oh my goodness. I'm starting to tear up. That is a great logo, and you've been through, your state has been through so much. These poor kids have been through so much. And I love what you were saying earlier about how libraries and having kids read and see other cultures and understand other people outside of their own little box helps to maybe prevent some of this horrible stuff like the church shooting from happening, opening up their eyes to the world and not be stuck in their own tiny world. And I think that we really need to consider this, and legislators need to consider this when they start closing libraries or defunding libraries or getting rid of aids and not supporting libraries the way they can, because, you know, we're kind of the foundation, we're the heart, and, you know, where do you go when you need something? It's the library and the librarians, and we're there. Oh, that graphic is wonderful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So definitely we'll tweet out that link, because it is a crowdsourced, getting that bibliography together of how we can help our children. Oh, beautiful, wonderful.
Awesome.
And I hope we never have to help children through something like that again, but if we do, we'll have this great resource that was put together by your wonderful association. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Somebody take over. I need to go wipe my eyes. Oh, my goodness. Who do we want to go to next? Because I'm really...
Cindy.
Cindy, yeah.
Okay. Well, boy, that's a tough act to follow. Now I have to talk about happy things at the conference. So our conference is March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in Myrtle Beach, and we have a very active conference every year with usually over 600 participants. For our small state, that's a pretty good chunk, and this year we're pleased to have Dr. Jewel Parker Rhodes and M.H. Herlong as our banner authors. In addition, we have S.A. Bodine coming, Jeffrey Selane, Joel Nels, Amy Christine Parker, and J.E. Thompson, to name but a few. We have a very active book award program in South Carolina. We have the Picture Book Award, Children's Book Award, Young Adult, Junior Book Award, and Young Adult Book Award. And so we try to have representative authors of each level. And then in addition, our headline speakers are Jennifer Lagarde, Chris Kraft, Andy Plemons, Matthew Winter, and Mr. Shue. And our theme this year is You're a Rock Star Librarian. And you have the logo on one of our slides, if you don't mind flashing that up for us. We'd love to invite anyone who would like to attend to join us in sunny Myrtle Beach in March. It may be a little nippy, but always guaranteed to be sunny. Let's see. Do we have that logo? Oh, I think there it goes. There we go. So we're very excited about our headline speakers and lots of good presenters, and we just invite everybody to come out and support us. So, and don't forget that South Carolina's #1 industry is tourism, and we want to let everyone know that we are open for business in South Carolina. All of our major interstates are now open, and so come on down. Charleston and Myrtle Beach and Columbia want to welcome you home.
So, Cindy, what I want to know, that lineup is amazing. So if we're not part of the South Carolina Association of School Librarians, can we come?
I think we just got invited. I love the logo. I'd love to be there.
It's amazing.
We have a wonderful graphic artist that works at a public library in Spartanburg, and she is very good to us, and that logo is just amazing, isn't it? It's going to make a great T-shirt. So M.H. Herlong, who wrote Buddy, this being the 10th anniversary year of Hurricane Katrina, we are very excited to have her coming. Of course, we didn't realize we were going to have flooding in the state when her book won the Children's Book Award title last year. But it will be I think it gives our kids a unique insight into that particular story this year.
Definitely. Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. So I'm going to have to make vacation plans to come to South Carolina that week. Oh my goodness.
We have a great hotel room deal for you.
Definitely.
Front rooms, only $100 a night.
That is good for an oceanfront room. Oh my goodness. But you can't beat that lineup. So everyone who goes, your attendance needs to be completely out. You're going to have like a velvet rope and standing room only, and no, you can't come in. And they'll be like, but I need to see Andy and Jennifer and everybody.
Oh, it's truly going to be a rock star lineup for sure.
It will. That is awesome. Oh my goodness. All right, so we've talked about a lot of things so far with you guys. Definitely the flooding and how to help with that. We sent those links out. Those links will be on the wiki as well if you miss them going out on Twitter. Also the bibliography, Charleston Bib, hashtag Charleston Bib, getting those resources together. That was prompted by the church shooting as well, how we can help students with reading, and also about the great conference coming up in March. So you guys have your hands full right now in South Carolina, and like you said, it's going to be at least a school year-long thing, if not more, of digging those 6 schools out of the muck and from the flooding and getting those school libraries back up and going, and those donations can be found on the links that we'll put onto the wiki, or they can go to your website to see that as well. Is there anything that we've missed so far, Jennifer and Karen and Cindy, that we need to know about the South Carolina Association of School Librarians, things that they've been up to, things that are coming up, personal stories of how students have been affected, anything like that that maybe we haven't touched on? We've touched on so much already, though.
I heard a story today that I thought was so empowering. A friend of mine ran into a first responder in the elevator of a local building where she'd gone to a conference, and she was thanking him for his time and efforts because, like many first responders around the country in times like these, this gentleman had been working nonstop for days on end without break, and she was thanking him, and he said, "It was my honor. It was my absolute honor to be there to help." And then he went on and said, "You know what, though? We're in recovery now, and we need to think about those folks in California who are dealing with mudslides." And it just kind of brought home to me is you become the news cycle of the moment, and you know, everything gets splashed across the news for 24-hour period or however it might be, and then people move on and they forget that there are still folks out there who are living in shelters and living in hotel rooms or apartments because they can't go back home. And so we really appreciate the ability to be able to publicize what's going on here and get help to those folks who need them.
We just always have to be vigilant and see where the help is needed and make sure that the kids everywhere where they have that need are taken care of, like we pretty much do every day as librarians anyway, but making sure we bring that need out to the public as well and get those kids most in dire need taken care of. Elizabeth Hester, she's commenting again. She says, like, 600 attendees, what? She's like, that's huge. She wants to know, do you combine your conference with public librarians, or is that all 600 school librarians?
The majority of them are school librarians. And our commentary, though, is in our state we have 1,900 certified school library media specialists, and out of those we currently have under, what is it, Jennifer, 660 that we currently have as members this year?
That's right.
And so a good chunk, obviously, a very high percentage of our active membership comes to conference. And when we have it at a desirable location like Myrtle Beach, it tends to be, we hope, even higher. So we'll look forward to that. So, and certainly having some great headliners, I think, is going to help this year.
Definitely. I think you need to make sure to put out more chairs, Cindy. You're going to need them. Probably double that.
As Jennifer said, we're at Kingston Plantation at Myrtle Beach. It is a beautiful venue, and even though February can be a little iffy sometimes at Myrtle Beach, we're still going to do yoga on the beach, and we're still planning a fun run, and those proceeds will benefit the flood relief efforts as well. So we're just gonna keep plugging on and plugging on.
That's awesome. So you combine the conference with some other fun activities like the fun run and yoga on the beach. And
we do, of course. What is a conference without some fun stuff and some shopping?
Right. You got me at shopping.
We're a holistic conference.
That's right.
I love that. Your attendees are going to have a fabulous time. That will be awesome. Joyce Valenza is saying in our chat box would love to be there, and so that gives us a little lead in to Joyce, but I'm going to shoot it over to Shannon and let Shannon introduce Joyce Valenza, who was wrapping up the Teacher Librarian Conference that was online, and so couldn't join us at the beginning of the show as we thought was going to happen. But you know what? Just like with everything else, we're educators and we're flexible, and we just go with the flow and get things done any way we can. So Shannon, I'm going to let you pop in here now.
Okay, thanks, and thanks for sharing, South Carolina, that your stories are just, they're something that everybody needs to listen to and think about how we can help and give. And so we appreciate you sharing your story and just being part of our community. Joyce, we can't see you. I don't know if you want your camera on or not. And you are muted, just to let you know, so you want to take that off too. But I'm here to introduce one of my besties, Joyce Valenza, and Joyce has been very busy today because she was the host for TL Day. And I went over in the beginning kind of our schedule and what the day looked like, and that will be all archived. But we're so happy that you joined us
it's a pleasure.
tonight, Joyce, at the end of your crazy day, just to kind of tell us about the day and wrap up TL News Night for us.
Thanks, Shannon, and thanks, friends. This was great. It was so inspiring. I am going to just pop this in here. We had an event at Rutgers where we gathered together Scott Bonner and Carla Hayden. So Scott's from Ferguson Library, and Carla is from Enoch Pratt Library. And we had a conversation for our students and for the rest of the world on how librarians can manage in troubled times. How do your values, your principles, your community needs, balancing safety, impact the way you lead in libraries? And so if you're interested in that, there's some great resources there that our speakers shared, and so so that might be useful. And as I think about this, I really think about how we function as community centers, as places of peace and sanity, when the communities around us need us the most. We can be, we can really be beacons and anchors in our communities, and that's what I'm hearing the roles of our colleagues in South Carolina played. So thank you for inspiring us, and also thank you for inspiring us with the new research and the correlations that you made. I'm going to be looking forward to reading the articles you described. So it's been a busy day. We had, I don't know what's going on my phone, but it could be tweets that are happening. It's binging away. So today we started out with Russ Todd's inspiration, and we moved into practical ideas from Naomi Bates on how book trailers can help create a reading culture. We moved into a panel discussion that Craig led about librarians playing a role in social justice in so many different ways. That panel was exceptional. Then Shannon and Michelle and I talked about continuing reading culture, and Karen Bonanno from Australia talked about what role you play in thought leadership, and she described 4 different possible roles. And I think one of the takeaways from that session was that we can't be everything for our communities, and within our school cultures, we need to find partners who match the stuff that we don't actually do. So some of us are researchers, and some of us are theorists, and some of us are cheerleaders, some of us are data people. None of us are everything, and sometimes we beat ourselves up because we think we're supposed to be. But there are people in our networks, there are people in our school cultures that fill in those gaps for us, and it's important to have events like TL Newsnight and TL Chat and the conferences, so that those other friends of ours can fill in for our own deficiencies and actually support us in the things that we do the best. So those are just some things that came out of that. The whole archive is going to be up. It probably is already up. And then I do want to talk a little bit about what's coming up next, AASL. So feel free to jump in, everybody. 2 events that I'm very excited about, and I hope you'll share with your communities. On Thursday night, we're doing something new. If you were at the SLJ Summit, we tried a hackathon to solve problems in positive ways. We're going to do a hackathon for early career librarians. So if you know any folks who are either young or young in the profession, please encourage them to be part of that event on Thursday night. AASL wants our feedback on how to improve the committee structure, how to improve the proposal procedures, how to improve the organization so it's as welcoming as it can be for new librarians. So we're doing that on Thursday night from 10 to midnight, and then on Friday night we're doing our second unconference, and that is from 9 to midnight, and we're going to have an awful lot of fun. And for the first time, following the official unconference part, we are having a librarian's pub quiz. It's not actually going to be in a pub, but it will be Quizzo-like, and I could use some help in developing trivia questions if anybody wants to be part of that. I think we're going to have a great time. It's going to be a lot of informal learning going on, and so get a lot of sleep before you arrive in Columbus is my best advice. And Shannon and I are presenting with Michelle a bunch of times, and I bet some of you are as well. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say. It's so exciting to see the energy in this space, and all the energy I saw all day long. I cannot tell you what a change I've seen in the last 10 or so years in terms of participation. It's great.
And Joyce, AASL is always a great conference, and I hate that I'm not going to be there this year, but I will say that some of the best interactions I had at my first AASL conference was those late night sessions with you. And I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, 9 to midnight, I can't do that, especially 2 nights in a row, but you'll never forgive yourself if you don't go to those late night sessions. They are the most fun, where you'll get to make the most connections and really get to meet people and talk and get to be friends and learn all at the same time. Which, the sessions are great, but most of the times with those sessions are sit and get, and you really don't have time to interact and talk. And so if you're really wanting to connect and interact and talk with other people, those late night sessions are the ones definitely to get to, so that you can really get to know people and just, I don't know, it was the best thing ever.
It's a good time too, like for if it is your first one, or if you want to get like just more connected with people and participate. It's just a really great way to have a say too in what we all do, and so they're wonderful. We're gonna miss you though, Nikki.
Oh, you know.
Can I just add a
I
couple
just
quick things?
moved.
We'll dance a little extra at the gala for you.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll be dancing. Whenever it's time, I'll just dance. I'll look for the tweets.
We'll FaceTime you.
I just have a couple quick things about the ASL that we didn't get a chance to mention. One of those is the opening keynote is with Heidi Hayes Jacobs, who, if you haven't heard, is remarkable and incredibly inspiring if you have that opportunity. Brian Selznick will be there talking about his new book, The Marvels. There's Matt De La Pena, Sonia Marzano, who is Maria from Sesame Street, if you don't know that name. And then one of my favorite authors, Coretta Scott Award winner Rita Williams Garcia is there. And then I'm having a little difficulty with this one. Kate Messmer, love her, who wrote Wake Up Missing. Another one, like what Nikki described, is the Idea Lab. It's one of those multi-stations, kind of like we did at ISTE with the chance to visit and sort of walk from station to station. But that was my favorite part of ISTE, and I totally agree with Nikki that those one-to-one conversations are often the most valuable thing you can do. So that's just another opportunity. And it goes from 9 to 3 on, I think, Friday. Is that right? And then there's also a closing keynote with Esther Hargitay, who's talking about kids' online behaviors and how those influence school and social lives. And I love that AASL is pulling that piece in so directly and really emphasizing it and saying, that's as much a part of our job now as anything else. And I'm a huge advocate for pulling digital citizenship conversations into school so that kids are not navigating that on their own. And I think if we're not talking about it, we're giving them the message that, good luck with that. I hope it goes well for you. So I think bringing in Esther really is a terrific statement about the expanding role that Joyce just talked about and the way that we can really rethink our responsibilities in a very positive way. And as Nikki said, make ourselves critical to the life of a school so that people know why we're there.
And Jonathan, I think that whole thing about digital citizenship also ties in directly with what South Carolina talked about tonight with using the books and building those bibliographies and having those books that can expand students' empathy and understanding. And with digital citizenship as well, we're not only talking about what's a proper place to go, but what is this information, what is this site telling you, and what type of information is it giving you, and is this something that's creating in students what you want them to have as far as empathy and understanding for each other. So it goes beyond just, is this an appropriate website?
Yeah.
I see Jennifer's nodding her head. Definitely.
We've talked.
Just put in a shout out for the ASL conference, and you just need to go on adrenaline. Don't miss anything. I'm in a state where we've had a lot of hard times in California, and it's easy to get down. And you go to a conference like ASL, and you see all the wonderful things you can do, and you just go away energized to do all you can. And the formal events are wonderful, but I especially love the informal ones that Joyce talked about, because those are a chance for anybody to step up to the mic and participate. We should just all take advantage of it.
I agree. Jonathan?
Yeah, Joyce, did you have anything else you wanted to cover? Or you want me to go on to a couple other news items?
No, go. You know what? I just wanted to say there's been some new models about really thinking about reframing the phrase digital citizenship to digital leadership as an expansion of what that looks like. And I'll find some links and share them at some point. But it's just what I've been thinking about lately. But please continue. I'll mute.
Well, two other pieces of that I totally agree. Kevin Honeycutt has gotten me to switch from digital footprints to digital tattoo, and talking to kids about that, and that's been a really helpful framework or mindset shift for me in talking to them. And then I'll also tweet out some links pulling in student advocates for digital citizenship and their being the voices. I mean, we talk about all these issues till we're blue in the face, but when kids are talking about it with each other, And if you haven't seen Common Sense Media's curriculum for the family nights, that's an amazing opportunity to have a community-wide conversation, and then also to think about all the aspects. I think cyberbullying comes up so much, but from our world, certainly appropriate citations and use of materials. We talk a lot about erasing the digital and digital citizenship and just teaching citizenship, and similarly blurring the line between what we do online and what we do in person. If you've seen either, and I'll put these links out too, Kids Read Meme Tweets, or the one in which, and I can't say who made it, but the girl reads at a talent show what she has been posting online as if it's a performance, and you just cringe to think about the distinction that kids create between their online and their personal lives, or their day-to-day lives, that we really want to erase. So I'll just say a word about ALA Midwinter. That is January 8th to 12th here in 2016 in my neck of the woods, and it will not be warm. It will definitely, unless we have a serious global warming issue, you can expect your parka to be necessary. I did want to mention that early bird registration for that is ends November 11th, so you may want to get in sooner rather than later because there's quite a price difference. And AASL members are already ALA members, so they get their great discount. Featured speakers there are Lizzie Velasquez, who is the subject of A Brave Heart. Really incredible documentary if you haven't seen that. Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey, who is focusing on his work with economic growth, civic engagement, and individual opportunity and community progress. And then Chelsea Clinton, who's talking about her It's Your World project. And going with our theme around AASL, I love that ALA is pulling in these issues that are social issues and things that, as Nikki was saying, when you have these questions and you need a resource, if you're coming to us, we need to know how to be prepared. And everything from what we heard from South Carolina, from the natural disasters to the personal disasters, but economic questions, political questions, there's so much that we have the opportunity to offer, but only if we're ready for it. And I totally agree with the go with your huge cup of coffee. I thought I had mine next to me, but it's about this big, that big. And I carry it everywhere, given to me by a student, which I can never decide whether that's a compliment or an insult, but it's very helpful. And then I'll finish up just by saying that our next TL News show is on November 16th. We'll be talking about the library as a place for coding, and I think the opportunity to hear from the two women that are hosting that conversation, Jaquetta Johnson, who is a high school library media specialist in Baltimore County, Maryland, a Google certified innovator and a PBS digital innovator, refers to herself as the digital diva, which I would totally agree with. And then my friend Franz Davis, who's talking about those issues constantly and really raising awareness out of Lufkin ISD in Texas. And my favorite description of anyone on Twitter declares herself a disruptor of ridiculousness. And what better job could there be? And she will call out anyone in the best positive way to say, really? Is that really your point of view? So I can't wait to hear what she has to say about coding, because it's such an important piece of what we are doing in our library and Learning Commons in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, and thinking about girls in coding and ways that kids are approaching coding as a way to understand the world, not just sort of professionally and what their careers will be, but how they can see how the inner workings of their, what they rely on as technology is happening. So especially with makerspaces and that being a piece of our work, it's a great subject for us, and I'm really glad we're going to be talking about it.
Wow, there is so much going on. I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, I had to get all these dates into my calendar. I can't miss this. And the great thing about us as teacher librarians is even if you can't go to the conferences, like I can't attend AASL this year, is there are always hashtags that you can follow and learn right along as the conference goes. So if you're not familiar with the hashtags, find those hashtags. Contact any of us that are on the show tonight. We'll be able to get you those hashtags too on Twitter. And that's what I do a lot of times when I can't attend a conference, is I watch for those hashtags to come across. And I feel a lot of times like I'm sitting there in the conference. I get the great links that are being shared by the presenters. And so make sure to look for those and just know when those dates are so you can be on Twitter and searching for that as well. I cannot thank our guest enough tonight for being here and letting us know about these great opportunities of how we can jump in and help South Carolina with rebuilding those 6 libraries that really had the bad damage, as well as helping others, and then with the hashtag Charleston Bib, so that we can build that bibliography for those sites and those books that are going to help us teach our kids empathy and understanding, so that hopefully these horrible things won't repeat themselves over and over again with something like a church shooting. And I'm going to let Craig take us out for the night, because it is now 9 o'clock Eastern time and time for us to end. But we don't want to end because we've been having such a great conversation with everyone from Joyce in South Carolina and Jane. Thank you, Craig and Jonathan, for filling in and being substitutes for us tonight. And Craig, I'm going to let you say our final words.
Well, those final words. What an easy role of substitute, because that's a wrap for tonight. And be sure to join us November 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 o'clock out here on the West Coast, for a special TL News Night, like Jonathan was saying, Coding from the Library with Joketta Johnson and Franz Davis. I'm looking forward to that. I know that Hour of Code is coming on my calendar, and I look forward to those 2 digital divas. So let's call it a wrap for tonight, and look forward to seeing you all in Columbus and online.
That's all, friends. Bye.
Coast to coast.
Thanks for